Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. Jimmy does this and immediately feels out of place. He quietly moves to the side, hoping to go unnoticed. And he does. No one turns to look at him, and it's as if he's invisible. Now let's picture Chad in the same situation. As soon as he enters the room, people take notice. Heads turn, and there's an unspoken curiosity about who he is. People want to connect with him. The difference between Jimmy and Chad? It's all about body language. The way we carry ourselves, from our posture to our gestures, has a huge impact on how others see us and how we feel about ourselves. Today, I want to share what I've learned. This guide will cover the basics of body language and posture, helping you project confidence and make a strong impression wherever you go. Let's start with standing. Have you ever been in a group, maybe at a party or event, and felt unsure about what to do with your hands or feet? It's a common feeling, but the way you stand can say a lot about you. One option is to stand with your feet close together, parallel to each other. This is a formal and neutral stance, often seen in situations where you want to show respect or submission. Another option is to stand with your feet further apart in a wide stance. This position signals strength and masculinity. Now, what about crossing your legs while standing? If a wide stance is considered strong and masculine, crossing your legs is the opposite. It's more reserved and can appear feminine. By crossing your legs, you're subconsciously protecting yourself, which can make you seem unsure or defensive. Imagine two groups of men. One group standing with legs wide apart, looking confident and ready for anything, and the other with legs crossed, appearing hesitant. The difference in confidence is clear. Let's talk about different ways to sit with crossed legs. There are three main ways you can do this. Figure 4 lock. This is when you rest one ankle on top of the opposite knee, forming a 4 shape with your legs. It's a comfortable and masculine position often used by younger guys. Simple crossed legs. This is when you cross one leg over the other, with your knee resting on your thigh. It's a more elegant and sophisticated version of the figure 4 lock. Think James Bond or Thomas Shelby. But be careful. This style only works if it matches your overall vibe and style. If you're dressed casually in an oversized jersey and jeans, this pose might come off as geeky or out of place. Full cross. This is when both legs are crossed tightly at the knees. It's more formal and can be seen as a bit feminine, so use it carefully depending on the situation. The most important thing is not to be afraid of using expansive body language. Sitting with confidence and taking up space can make a big difference in how others perceive you. Now let's talk about what to do with your hands while sitting. One option is to clasp your hands together, but be mindful of how tightly you do this. The tighter your hands are clenched, the more it suggests you're feeling negative or anxious. Imagine your boss calling you in for a meeting and you see them with their hands tightly clasped. It gives off a tense, uneasy vibe. Touching your face with your hands can also send different signals. Hand on cheek. This often shows boredom. Hand over mouth. This can signal embarrassment. Hand on chin. This suggests you're evaluating something or making a decision. You can use these gestures strategically. For example, if you want to show interest in what someone is saying, you might rest your hand on your chin or cheek. But make sure you're not slouching or supporting your head with your hand, as that can make you look uninterested or sleepy. So, what's the best sitting position? In my opinion, it's the starter's position, combined with a thoughtful hand gesture, like resting your chin on your hand, with your finger pointing up the side of your face. This position is both attentive and expansive, showing confidence and engagement. Now we have hand movements, which are a big part of effective communication. Using your hands while speaking can add an extra layer of depth to your message, making it more engaging and impactful. If you think back to this explanation, you might notice that hand movements have been emphasized. That's because they play a significant role in keeping your attention and making the content more interesting. There are 4 main types of hand movements to focus on: points, sweeps, frames, and cuts. Points. These direct attention either to the person you're talking to or to the important parts of what you're saying. For example, you might say, "I want you to listen closely to this," while pointing at the person. It emphasizes the importance of what you're about to say. Sweeps. These are broad gestures, often moving in a sweeping motion or up and down, that are used during general statements or to connect ideas. For instance, you might say, "We could talk about this forever," with a sweep of your hand, and then move on to your main point. Frames. This is where you use both hands to describe something that has measurable time or quantity. For example, you might say, "I studied from age 15 to 25, while moving your hands to indicate a timeline. Or, "There's so much more information out there," and use your hands to show the quantity. Cuts. These are sharp, rigid movements used to make a strong, non-negotiable point. For example, you might say, "I simply won't allow it," with a firm chopping motion. This gesture emphasizes that you're serious and unwavering. Great speakers often use a combination of these hand gestures to make their speeches more powerful. For instance, someone like Graham Stephan uses smooth, sweeping gestures to create a flow in his speech, making it almost like poetry. On the other hand, someone like Andrew Tate uses more rigid movements with lots of points and cuts to deliver his messages with intensity and conviction. By combining these different elements, posture, facial expressions, and hand movements, you can become a much more effective speaker. You'll be able to communicate more clearly, keep your audience engaged, and leave a lasting impression. Now, let's move on to communication. Albert Mehrabian, a researcher in body language, concluded that communication is 55% nonverbal, 38% vocal, tone of voice, and only 7% the actual words you say. While these exact percentages are debated, there's no doubt that nonverbal communication plays a huge role in how we're perceived, so it's essential to master your body language to be taken seriously. Nonverbal communication is crucial, and it comes down to three main things: your posture, facial expressions, and hand movements. First, let's talk about posture. We've already covered a lot about posture in terms of sitting, and the same principles apply when you're standing or moving around. You want to have a strong, receptive posture with your back straight, your spine erect, and your eyes looking forward. Making eye contact is essential to show that you're engaged and confident. Next up are facial expressions. Your face can convey a lot of emotions, often without you even realizing it. For instance, a slight smile with your eyes crinkling, creating crow's feet, shows warmth and appreciation for what someone is saying. Raised eyebrows can express surprise or excitement, while pursed lips often signal sadness or concern. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more related videos. Like, share, and comment your ideas below for more videos.